We're live. We're live.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Off and running.
All right. So, thank you everybody for coming back to the Entrepreneur Hour. My guest today is Danny Garcia. We known each other forever, so I always talk about how we met. We met in high school. What was your major in high school?
Good question, man. Already with a good question. You're starting off, man.
You were in computer graphics with us, right? Or were you?
No, I used to sneak into that class a lot because what happened, I was originally in architecture as a major. Architecture. And then what happened was I was kind of done with architecture. And I don't know, you remember, you were able to switch your major after the first 2 years. So I wanted to get into computer graphics. But then by the time I got to, because I was dilly-dallying in high school, so by the time I got to it, it was full. But all my friends were in there, so I ended up going into industrial design. So I did that.
What the hell is that? Industrial design is like making products?
We were designing like chairs and sometimes cars and cool stuff like that. But for the most part, it wasn't that interesting either. I really wanted to be in the computer graphic, but like you remember Antonio, and all you guys were in there. So what I used to do is I used to sneak out of my industrial class and go hang out with you guys in computer graphics.
I thought you were in but I'm like, wait, you wasn't in but yeah, man, for me and Danny went to art and design high school, which surprisingly was an amazing experience for me.
Yeah.
A lot of us end up doing really good. A large percent that went on to do what we wanted to do. What did you do after high school?
So actually, after high school, I didn't go straight to college. Well, I don't have a college degree, but I think I bounced around to school here and there, and then I pretty much just started working straight for I think I started working my senior year, doing odd jobs and this and that. Security, any other kind of job, and then eventually, finally, I decided I wanted to get into tech, which actually Dimitri actually got me into.
Oh yeah, Dimitri.
Yeah, because he was like building computers and stuff like that back then, and I was like, this interests me, and so then I ended up finding a 3-month boot camp kind of thing where you just go, you get trained and you get certified, and they put you to work. So that's where I started. Like I say, my mid to late 20s. Mid to late 20s. And then I was working in the tech field for that long up until 3 years ago. But concurrently, that's when I started acting. Is when I was still working.
You did comedy first, right? Did you do comedy first?
I did stand up about, I think at this point it's got to be more than 10 years ago.
And do you still do it or no?
No. I wouldn't mind doing it, but it's just not where my point of interest is right now. I did stand up because I did stand up at that time. Actually, you know who actually I went to go see? You remember Jerome?
Yeah.
Jerome, he just said, so I ended up hooking up with him, you used to go to high school with us as well. Yeah. I hooked up with him. I went to a couple of his shows, and then that kind of influenced me to start going to open mics, because when people start telling you're funny, you should do stand up, I'm like, I'm funny, I should do stand up.
I'm gonna do it one day. I tell everybody
you should.
I'm gonna do it. I don't care. I'm gonna.
It's a great experience though, because it's just you, the mic, the audience, and there's nothing in between what you're saying and what the audience is receiving. So, and it's all you're writing your own material.
I hear it's one of the hardest things to do.
It is.
Right?
It is. It absolutely is.
So go ahead, go.
No, because it's just like your ideas and you're delivering it right. There's no filter. However you want to deliver it, that's what's being delivered.
Instant gratification. Like, did this work or not? Right.
Exactly.
So what made you get into acting? I always try to connect the entrepreneur hour, right? So I always look at things and say, that's a lot like entrepreneurship. And when talking to people like you that do creative shorts, movies, and all that stuff, I always look for the connection. So to me, it's even the comedy thing, right? Like that takes balls to get on those stages. And a lot of times people think I'm not an entrepreneur, just like I'm not a comedian. But at the same time, regular people, you had a regular job and you decided I'm gonna do this, and pretty late in life compared to like most, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
like it's not something that's out of anybody's realm, right? So what made you make that transition? Because you used to work at Condé Nast, right? That's what,
Correct. I used to, I worked at Condé Nast for almost 12 years, and so it started with the stand up because when I did stand up, I was still at Condé Nast, or I should say, I was at Condé Nast. Let me take it back. I've always wanted to act to some capacity. I wasn't sure how to get into it, how to get my foot in or do anything in regard to acting. And I knew no one in that world or anything like that. I think stand up to me was accessible. One, because I saw Jerome do it and he went to high school with us. And I'm just like, oh, if he could do it, why can't I? Yeah, it's I know somebody now, you know.
Yeah, entry point that was like relatable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not so much that he helped me or anything, but he was just like, yeah, just go here and do this, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense, cool, and I did that. And then after that, again, like I said, I was let me go back. I've always wanted to be an actor. Even when I was like 10, I remember asking my parents to like take me to a talent agency that I saw a commercial for on TV, which they don't have commercials like that anymore. I don't know why. It was called Faces International. I don't even remember that. So I had them take me, and basically it was the basic stuff where they were like, portfolio is going to cost this much, and classes are this much, and my parents were like, nah, we're not about that life.
Funny in the house.
Yeah, be funny in the house, and we'll pay the mortgage, and you'll make us laugh.
We'll clap for you.
That'll be good enough. So I was like, all right, so that nothing ever happened with that. And again, I didn't really do anything entertainment wise, in that time, other than being like in a couple of fashion shows at Art and Design and stuff like that. but yeah, so then I did the stand up, and I was kind of getting my foot into just the performing part of being in front of an audience and being comfortable doing that, which it did help a lot because it just helps with just being nervous and overcoming that and stuff like that. Being in front of people.
Right now, I know I'm one of the biggest celebrities you share the screen with. Don't be nervous. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it helps. I mean, it helps. I mean, I'm a pretty grounded dude, but I mean, like, I feel like doing stand up, because when you bomb up there, it's like you got to get over it. Like, you got to keep going. You can't just be like, okay, sorry to bother you guys. Just like, yeah. Sorry for my jokes. Sorry, my jokes suck.
So how many times did you say you did it though?
I was doing consistently for about 2.5 to 3 years. Open mics, yeah. Whoa. So there's tons of open mics in the city, and the whole idea of doing stand up and stuff like that, continuously like that, is to kind of perfect your set, whether it's a 5-minute set, 10-minute set, whatever. So the more you go up on stage, the more you're working the wording and the delivery and you're just fine tuning it. That's basically all you're doing all the time. So there was a time where I was going out like every night. I remember there was a couple months there. Me and my boy Justin would go out every night, and that's exhausting, bro. It's exhausting. Yeah, not just because it's physically exhausting, but yeah.
It was your side hustle in a way, right?
Yeah, it's a hustle. Yeah, and I'm working 9 to 5 normal job. So it got to be too much, and at the end of the day, again, I was like, I want to be an actor, and yes, this is an avenue to get there, like many comedians we know, but that's a long road. So I was like, in my heart, I like it, I enjoy it, I met cool people, and I had cool experiences, but my heart wasn't in that. So stop doing that, chill for a minute, and then I think it was a friend of mine from work who saw like an ad or something, or a friend of his was doing improv class at Magnet Theater, and then I went, which is like similar to UCB, if you know UCB. So I went, I took that class, and that kind of just ended up connecting to the next thing. So that the teacher of that class was also teaching not just an improv class, but a regular acting class. I ended up taking that class. And then while I was...
And I think improv, I think comedy, is that...
Yeah, it could be. It's not... Yes, normally people connect improv with comedy, but improv could just be just in general, like, you know, let's say you're working on a particular project. It doesn't have to be comedy. Maybe just the director wants you to kind of just, maybe whatever's written on the page is not popping, or, you know, is not telling the story the way he wants or she wants. So, you know, they ask the actors to improvise and just kind of like, you know, if you know the script, you can kind of go off of what you know. So yeah, so I took that improv class, and you know, that just kind of snowballed into then meeting somebody who told me about another class, and then once I started doing that, I started getting the confidence to be like, yo, you know what, I think I'm going to start auditioning, you know, like for real, and then started auditioning for student films and stuff like that, which is pretty much a normal route that most actors take. And the reason for that is because you may not get paid, but because these kids or these college students, they more than likely have access to like good equipment and a whole setup and lighting. So the payoff is that you get footage to start building a demo reel.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, so that, right. So when you're starting off in your career, you may be acting for free, but the payoff again is you start building your demo reel, and then you can start pitching that to agents, managers, to be like, hey, I can act. I'm bookable, as they say. You know, I can book things. So, you know, take a chance on me.
How do you work with a job though? Like, what happens if you get booked? And you're like, oh, you know?
Yeah, so once I started booking like TV spots and stuff like that, I was lucky enough that I was already there at my job for a lot of years, and I had a little bit of leniency. And also I worked in a team. So I worked in technology, right? I worked at like level 3, like break fix technology, desktop support. So it was a team of us. So if for whatever reason I was out one day, it's not like the whole world collapsed. Like Condé Nast couldn't run. You know, it was somebody picked up the slack. There was an emergency. You know, my coworker would handle it, or you know, something. But it wasn't. It's funny because actually working in that department and working in that field, you almost kind of I don't want to say you self-manage, but you do manage your work list. So I knew how to like, okay, I know this is an emergency. This can't wait till if I'm out for 3 days shooting something.
Yeah.
So I know that I need to prioritize that if I know I'm going to be out
for this job, because I want to make sure it's not a problem while I'm on set.
Exactly, because I don't, you know, that's the last thing I want. This is what's paying my bills. I don't want to jeopardize that.
It's a lot like entrepreneurship. That's pretty much what we do every day. So how long did it take you before you started landing like pretty good stuff? Like
it took a minute. Well, I started. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I don't like to use the word luck, but I was pretty fortunate up front because I know a lot of colleagues who like been acting for a long time and haven't like had as many opportunities as I've had in the short time that I've been doing it, you know. And I think there's a lot of things that contribute to that, you know. One is where we are, New York. Right now, there's tons of TV shows being filmed here. I'm Latino, so, you know, right away, you know, you can see me as the cop, which I played a lot of, and things like that. So I feel like that has attributed a lot to, you know, the things I've done. But I started like really going hard in like 2012. I feel like I started auditioning and booking things and like getting the ball rolling. And I think I booked Power, I think in like 2015 or something like that. As a cop. My scene was actually cut though out of that, which is funny.
I remember.
That's a funny.
You promoted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
I had like so many people here because it was my first time being on the TV. I had this house was packed. I had like 30 people here, and the funny thing is that I found out that afternoon because I think it was a season finale or something, and a friend of mine posted about it. So I went. I was like, "Oh, you can see it already?" And she was like, "Oh, yeah, it's on demand." So I was like, "Get out of here!" So I made my wife sit down, and we start fast. I'm like, "I think my scene's here. Fast forward. Where's my scene?"
That's part of the ups and downs.
Oh yeah,
there's ups and downs, right? So that's like a high and then a low.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back, right? You gotta like not take it personal and keep going.
Because it wasn't like we don't like Danny, let's cut his scene. It could have been time. It could have been we didn't need that for the story. It could have been a different reasons why they had to cut that little piece specifically. It's not, you know.
That's your first big one that you felt like, all right, I'm getting there.
Yeah, that was my first like union, the SAG after union job. Yeah, it was that. And then I think after that, I think I did Gotham after that. Yeah, but it was like I feel like it was kind of close together, which was cool, because then that really does make you feel like, yo, I'm going somewhere. What's going on?
Oh, shit, this guy's on everything now. Then Robot, then some stuff on HBO.
Yeah.
So like, all right, so you start becoming an actor. You're getting roles at a certain level. What makes you start to figure out how to create like your own shorts? And right
Yeah.
now, if you I put it on Instagram, but if you follow Danny, he's doing something that I thought when I saw that I was like, this is genius. He's
Yeah.
connecting himself into key scenes of
Right.
movies, and I think that's freaking genius in this
Yeah.
media
Thank you.
world. So what makes you think about it as a business right now as an
Hmm.
actor? What's your path? Like, what's your business?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, so the thing is that every actor will tell you, it's the majority of it is waiting by the phone, waiting to get that audition. And then once you get that audition, is waiting by the phone to see if you got the job, you know? And, if you don't have the means, then that's all you do, unfortunately. But if you have the means and knowledge like I do, and it's not for any other reason that I already had the knowledge, because I have a photography background. Like after high school and a little bit like a few years after that, I kind of got into photography.
Okay.
So I knew my way around a camera and I knew how to work that, and I just had that basic understanding and knowledge. So when I started acting and taking it seriously, I already thought to myself, I'm gonna want to start shooting my own stuff. So let me start investing in that direction. I'm sorry, there's a siren going on. I don't know if you can hear that. All right. So
Authentic.
yeah, that's true. I don't know. They might bust in here and start taking that. That might be live. We might be seeing that live right now. I don't know where they're going. Yeah. Cops got canceled.
That's how I got Danny on the show. He's like, why
Yeah.
for me? I said, don't worry, we're gonna get a million views.
You'll see. Cops got canceled, but come to miguelslive.com if you want to see some. So I had that knowledge base to start working with that. So then I started investing, started buying cameras and light, but that was really slow because I was first shooting on I bought a Canon 5D just to start, just because at that time I was still doing photography, and then obviously you can shoot video with that. So I started messing around with that and started doing little things here and there. But it's also like I said, that comes from, again, not wanting to just sit around and be like, oh, when's my next audition? Or especially look at right now, how we're at. Like, I haven't auditioned in a while because there's nothing going on right now.
I hear it's going to change big time. I'm already hearing the difference of a shoot crew and all.
Yeah, I'm hearing the same things. I mean, so doing self tapes, which is auditioning at home and then sending that clip to a casting director. That's common because, let's say the show's in Atlanta or LA or whatever I'm auditioning for. So it's normal. I would say that's probably like half of my auditions. And then the other half, I'm going to somebody's office and auditioning in person. So now what I'm hearing is that that's going to be the standard, is just self tapes, because with all this going on and the pandemic, is like nobody wants anybody in their office. Because sometimes if it's a big office where they cast a lot of things, you're looking at like 50 people just hanging out in the lobby. So no.
I had a guy on my show a few Fridays ago that's doing video production where he's kind of eliminating the background, the crew, the set, because it's like a camera that has a screen that as the background moves with you, so you don't need.
Okay. Yeah.
And this is the kind of stuff that we're gonna have.
I mean, that sucks for the people who work those jobs, but I get it.
Though, with technology,
I mean, I do it all myself as well, so I know that it can be a pain. But that's another thing, is that when I was investing in myself and thinking of all those things, I was like, it's not that I want to be a one-man show. It's just that, like,
the more you can do yourself.
Exactly. I can cut out the middleman here and there. Like, I've shot shorts where, I'm not a sound guy, but I'm like, but I can know how to set up these mics. so like if I could just save money on that or cut that corner just for, just for now, yeah, I do it,
This right now would not be happening if I didn't spend the last year doing what you said. I was always like, damn, if I can get somebody to follow me and
Right.
video of what I do, I could use that because I'm working with kids. I'm doing a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So doing it. So then I, you know what? F that. I'm not waiting for other people anymore. I'm gonna learn this.
Right.
I had equipment, but I didn't know how to use it, and I was gonna learn it. And I've been on it for like a year. And now I'm like, I could do this by myself.
Yeah.
It's like kind of night and day when you have to rely on people, especially business, the creative business. A lot. Like you can set up a whole shoot and the sound guy just not show up. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Or they just happen to me, or they show up and they're not great. And then you go into post and the audio is all messed up and it sucks. And then you're like, now what are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
So
talk to me about, as a person that's coming into this, because I think what happens right now in times like this is people start to say, okay, what can I do that I actually want to do in life, right? A lot of times sessions put you in that mindset where it's like, all right, I have a job. If I could do anything, what would I do? I know a lot of people want to be actors and in the business. How would you tell somebody right now the way to get in? I know you said the short films of students. That was a really good one. But COVID, how's that gonna work? Right? What would you do in this scenario? And what are you thinking about for right now to grow your? Because I think you're doing social media pretty well.
Right. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I'll attack the social media thing in a second. So I think that honestly, I don't know how this COVID situation is changing in the sense of how it's going to affect someone who is just wanting to get into acting. Because honestly, it's not that it's going to be more difficult or anything like that. I mean, there might be certain challenges that weren't there before, of course, but it's still a kind of business where it's really self-involved, I should say. And the reason I say that is because, as you know, like any entrepreneur, you are the business. So you're constantly thinking of like, okay, well, if I'm trying to get there, what are the steps in between to get to that spot and then get there? And that's whether you're trying to model your career after somebody else or you have people who are consider mentors or whatever. So there's a lot of like the steps you need to take. And I think having that mindset of just like, just taking, it's all on me. And when I say that, I don't mean that there's not outside factors that affect your career path. Of course there are, right? But that's out of your control. The only thing you can do is try to be the best at what you're trying to do. And that could look many different ways. That could be in different capacities, So I would still suggest to someone that was serious about acting to, number one, start taking classes. And right now, actually, that I feel like is a little easier because now a lot of teachers who normally have spaces where they teach are now offering it on Zoom.
And
so now,
a lot more people. That makes sense.
Yeah, I know there's one of this teacher that I follow, I've taken classes with. He's out in LA, and he, right before this happened, or not right before, but for a long time, he was traveling the globe teaching because he has a specific way of teaching and stuff like that, which is a little different and a little unconformist. But he would go to Australia. He would travel the countries. He most of his career was in Canada, but he's based on LA. Now, because this is going on, he's been doing classes from home, and he's like, this is just fine. This is great. Number one, I don't have to travel so much. Everybody comes to me. Yeah, I can offer it.
See the opportunity, right? Like right now, you can look at it one way, and you can look at it the other way. I try to see the opportunity.
So yeah, absolutely.
Right now, you could get lessons probably cheaper.
Yeah, right? They are cheaper. Yeah, they are cheaper.
And it's accessible. Before, you had to come out your job and make it somewhere.
Exactly.
So that's pretty interesting. That's a good way. And what would you do after that? Okay, you start getting some lessons.
So you start by start going to class, and one thing you need to think about right off the bat is that this is not a get rich quick kind of idea. If you really want to do this, entrepreneurship, exactly. If this is something
I'll make them have the private jet.
Yeah, no. I had that idea, and I learned that. I'm not gonna say I learned it the hard way, but I had that idea. But then talking to again people who were in the game much longer than me, they told me the same thing, that this is not like, you don't give yourself a time limit. For myself, I know there's people that have and people that do, but I can't tell myself, well, if I'm not here in 10 years, I'm calling it quits. Because actually, I'm gonna tell you why. Because this goes back to high school. Because I feel like, as an artist, you're always looking for some way to express yourself, right? I went to the high school of art and design because as a kid, I used to love to draw. And that was at that time my form of expression, right?
Yep.
So I developed that through my early years. Go to high school of art and design, whatever the high school experience was for me, different from anybody else, whatever. And I didn't pursue it afterwards. But that want of expressing myself as an artist was still there. Yep. And it came up in the form of doing stand-up comedy or doing photography. But
job wasn't giving you that, pretty much.
And no, of course not. Of course not. I mean, it was
given that, right?
Exactly. So, I mean, like I said, that want was always there. And since I've always wanted to act since I was a kid, it was just like the obvious thing for me is like, well, when else am I going to do it? Like, I'm 33 or whatever, how old I was, is like, if not now, when?
Good expression I always have in my head, which is like, of course, before was the better time to do it, but the best time to do it is right now.
Because it's right now, always, yeah.
It's always right now, even if it was time, like anything you're about to do, no better time to do it right now. So at the end of the day, right now, we're sitting in this time where that's part of why I'm doing this too. Like, I know there's a lot of people sitting in like, damn, what am I gonna do? My job, whatever. Because another big thing is, just like you said, about the video production. I see so many jobs being eliminated every day that I feel like if you're not looking at what you want to do with your life right now, let me go towards that. You may not have an option.
Yeah, that's true.
The job just may be ripped out from under you, and you have time to get there. So you might as well trying to get there right now.
You might as well do it now. Yeah.
So
that's, No, I was gonna make another point of just like I forgot. But with that being said, about everything I just said, it's just like it would still, in my opinion, it would still be the same track. There might be some differences right now because of what the world is going through, but the track is still the same. It's still honing your craft, getting good at what you do, and figuring out what it is that you are as a performer, as an actor, do want to say, or whatever that the case may be, or however this art fulfills you. Just figure that out, like, for example, for me, I love telling stories. I love, and I think that's what drew me as a kid to want to act, is that I loved storytelling. I loved watching TV, movies. That was a big part of my upbringing. Watching The Wonder Years, because me and Fred Savage are about the same age. So I remember watching that and being like, and at that time, I'm old enough to understand what a TV show is and that there's actors and blah, blah. Yeah. So that really influenced me at that age, at that time. And that impacted me to be like, this guy's the lead of a show? Like, he's 10, like me. What? The show's about him. How is that even possible?
Cooper's hot.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be the lead of a show. So going back, that wanting to express yourself as an artist, is always going to be there. So when you give yourself a time limit, it's like, okay, let's just say in 10 years I'm not here, I'm going to give it up. I give it up, but that yearning is still going to be there.
So I went to a conference one time. I got invited to speak, and then they let me be in this big room with this huge consultant, right? And this guy charged $10,000 an hour, and he's giving a talk. And he said, what would you change about your business if you knew you had to work it until the day you died?
Yeah.
Right. And that really, because at that point I was trying to figure out what I want to do with the technology business. I started speaking more. And it was like, wow, that definitely changes the way I would look at it. Yeah. It changes the way the business runs, because anything that stresses me out, I'm just not going to do. Because if I'm going to do it to the day I die,
right,
I have somebody else do that. Right. And putting the time limit, it kind of makes you do things that you don't want to do. If you put yourself in a cruise control where you say, look, if I'm going to do it like this, I can do it to the day I die. You buy more time because you said it. I got lucky. You said I got luckier than some other people that have been doing it longer. I know not one successful entrepreneur that didn't get lucky. They just spent enough time in the game where they were ready for that luck.
Oh, I hear that all the time. Whenever I think that's one of my favorite lines when I hear people, actors who have been in it for a while, like, you know, famous people, you know, get interviewed. And I forgot who said it more specifically, but I remember them being asked that same thing. Is like, what's the secret to success? Or something like that. The interviewer posed a question like that. And he just said, I just stuck around. You know, I didn't leave.
100%.
It's that simple. Like, if you really want to do this, there's going to be ups and downs. Things are going to suck. You're not going to work sometimes. You're going to work other times, like often. And then other times you're just not. You're going to be sitting at home. But if you love this, then you're going to keep doing it.
I think Samuel L. Jackson, I think his first role was, he was like almost 60 years old or something.
Something like that. Something like that.
Crazy. So it's like, and look how big of a star he is.
Exactly.
It's really about, I know certain things is like a lottery ticket. I know it's kind of like, there's so many people that want to do it. So you definitely have to have a balance, right? So you had a job that was keeping you, and I knew another guy that who had an agency like me, and he would always go to these auditions, and we were working on projects at one point, and I'm like, dude, something's due today, and we're going on an audition. He's like, oh, this is a lottery ticket. If I get this, you're gonna have to do this project by yourself. Like lottery tickets, and he's like, so that was his thing, and
it's true.
Because he ended.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but it's also I understand that. I agree to some extent with that, but you also got to put into perspective that, like, because a lot of actors they get like down about not even like, oh, I auditioned, but I didn't get the part. But just the fact that you got to audition, even that is a little bit of a win, because think about how many people are getting submitted for this role, right? You have dozens of agents and managers in let's say just in New York, and they're submitting 3 or 4 of their own clients. So now you're looking at hundreds of people that are being submitted, and out of that submission, maybe 15 of you got to audition. That right there, is already a win.
So it's really how you look at things, right? Like, you could look at it and be like, damn, I didn't get it, but you could say, look, I'm getting more auditions, so something is working.
Right. Exactly.
So talk to the people about, I think you do social media really well for an actor. Like, right now, I don't think enough people that want to be in this business are using social media, right? So, like, talk to people about how you view it, and, you know, that idea came up with, because like you said, you have, right? So not anybody could have done that. Like, that's not really in place with the scene, which even me does that. I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. You doing that? You doing that?
Yeah, I'm doing it here in this living room. I'm doing it myself. Yeah,
that's really good. So
thank you.
How you did that? What do you think of that?
Well, it's funny because actually I had this idea to do something like that a while ago, and I didn't even know to what capacity I wanted to do it, and if I wanted to do like just a one-off, or I wanted to do something funny, and I wanted to do something where I could, because I knew I had the capacity to do it. I had a green screen, I had lights, and I know how to do that in post. So I think the first one I did was the Avengers one, and I think the idea came from just like, this time people are home, you know, my wife's working in the other room. I'm just kind of like, I got to keep myself busy, because I'm going to start feeling like, you know, dead weight, you know? So, and again, I've been wanting to do this for a while. I just didn't know to what capacity. So then I think I just started like, I think I saw the movie, and I just thought it was perfect, because in that scene, there's so much space next to Paul Rudd. And I was like, wait a minute, this is so odd how they shot this, but I can fit myself right there, and I don't have to do a lot of work.
Things I noticed, I was like, is he cropping it different?
No,
like, he is.
Yeah.
See, that was pretty.
Nah, I saw that and I was like, perfect. And the scene was funny, so like I'm like, all right, I could just interject myself into whatever. I could just, you know, make up lines or whatever the case is, and then So that was the first one. Though I was like, this is way too easy. Again, the way they shot it, they had so much space next to him, and I was like, all right, easy, boom, I did it. And you know, it took some. Again, I knew the basic information of how to do it and how to get it done. But then, you know, once you start doing it, you got to fine tune little things, and you got to rotoscope, and you know, little things and stuff like that.
It takes skill, though. It's work.
It takes skill. It takes work.
Oh, either he knows a lot more than I thought he knew, or he has to do that, because that's hard. I used to have to do that, and that's a lot of work.
Yeah. I mean, those things take me more in post usually than when I'm shooting them.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'll shoot them in maybe 3, maybe 4 hours if I'm really trying to get something perfect. But it's in post where I'm like, all right, tomorrow I'm on the computer all day.
So that's where I started out on the opposite side too. Like I went to Untitled too. I was in the computer graphics, so I knew that side, and I never really wanted to be in front of the camera. I like doing post. But what I realized was, even people that did what I did, the ones that put themselves on camera, they skyrocketed faster, farther, because they created brands. So that's why I'm gonna start like you. I know how to do all this stuff.
Right.
Myself.
Yeah.
What the hell? I'll take money to do it for somebody else, but I won't do it for myself.
Right.
Where I mean, we're lucky in that aspect. We got just such a young age into that world, but I think anybody can learn this stuff. It's not like we're watching this here, you know.
And now with the advent of like, you know, the internet and YouTube, I mean, I've learned more on the internet than I think I have in my 12 years of like academic learning. Like I learned how to play the guitar in my early 20s because of the internet. I learned how to like video edit, how to do like all the stuff I do. I learned because of the internet. So
that's the beauty of the internet. I tell everybody, like you can literally learn anything you want. It's just you want to learn, and you got to dedicate the time, because it is time.
Dedicate the time. That's it. But there's no reason at this point. You know, like I have friends who like need help, like just like editing their reel, and I do it for them. You know, it's another side business I have as well. But you know, sometimes I feel bad because I'm like, you know, if you just took the time to learn this, you don't need me to. This isn't that hard.
And most people, they just rather pay to have it done. But
I get that. Too.
How to do it is just more empowering for their future career, right? And
that's the thing. I always had an issue with like depending on someone else or something else too in order to get what I needed done. So I think that was also a motivator for me, and I learned how to edit, and you know.
So me, as a person that manages, like I own a company that deals with creative and technology, and both sides have the flakiest people in the universe. So I'm like, I gotta know how to do anything, because at any point somebody can drop off on me and screw. So that's kind of why I got to that point where I was like, all right, I'm just gonna deal with it because that's what I do. But right now, I do believe the more you can do yourself, the better off you are in the beginnings, right? In the beginning, eventually you'll get enough money to bring people in. But as an entrepreneur or anything you want to do, the more you can learn yourself, the more power you have to make it, right? So like, what would you say right now is your next kind of strategy for what's going to happen post-COVID? Do you have kind of idea of how you're going to like move once this is over?
Well, I don't know, because the thing is that it's, you know, my career was kind of where it has been, you know, for the last couple of years. I got a new manager a couple of years ago, and things have been going well. I got a new agent last year. So, and I like how everything is working right now for me. So I think it's just seeing how this is going to affect the industry, and then kind of taking it from there, because as of right now, nothing's happening. That's the problem. So I can keep doing my videos on Instagram and social media and stuff like that, and have fun with it for myself. And I could probably build a following, which it's funny because I know you're mentioning how like that you appreciate what I'm doing, but my goal is not really to build a following. Like I have no interest in that kind of thing. But I do like to entertain and obviously put myself out there and have people like it. But I really have an interest in building a following. With that being said, if it happens, that's cool. But
actor, you may want to change that.
Say it again.
If you want to be an actor, you may want to change.
No. I appreciate being appreciative for like my talent and but I don't necessarily. I guess I'm just saying it's not a goal of mine, is what I'm saying.
Social media.
That's not a goal of mine. But I appreciate like the value that it has.
What's your
to certain people.
at L Danny, right? L.
El Danny Garcia, yeah. El Danny Garcia, if you want to say it in Spanish.
All right. So
Yeah.
IG or everywhere
Yeah.
too?
No, on Twitter I'm actor Danny, but I don't really have a lot of. I kind of cross post, but it's mostly on Instagram.
All right.
Mostly on Instagram. But yeah. So yeah, I think it's just waiting to see how this is going to affect the industry itself, because from what I'm hearing now is like things aren't really going to start opening up for real till like the end of the year, and probably.
Mike is here. Mike from high school. I don't know. Remember Mike Clowney?
Yeah. What's up, Mike?
Up on IG. But guys, sorry.
No, it's fine. Yeah, it's more like again, just kind of adjusting to what's going to happen and how it's going to say. Because the only difference I see that's going to be obvious is that it's going to be smaller crews. You know that, because you're normally on a TV set and you got 100 people there easily.
Wow.
Yeah, between the crew and let's say it's a big scene and you got background actors, then you're easily 100 people.
So I heard this thing. The guy I interviewed a few weeks ago, he said that studios are mostly looking for scripts where it's very few people.
Yeah.
You know? And even in the scenes, right? Like, like 2, 3.
Which is what I do because I'm one person. So I write scripts and write scenes where it's just very minimal amount of people. Like I was,
No,
I was gonna say, like right before this happened, I had written a script that I was gonna shoot, and it was literally 3 people, and with crew is probably gonna be like 7 people at the most. That's actually a lot. So so now that's on hold until
what? Imagine planning out a scene, and since you do post, you can shoot it not being in the same room.
I thought of that, but the problem is that it's kind of like a therapy session. So there's at least me and the other actor have to be next to each other.
Okay.
Because we're sitting on the couch together. So
super innovative. Whoever does that first makes it short where nobody's in the same room. That's gonna get a lot of views.
It can be done. I mean, I can turn the camera on one person, and the other people don't even have to be in the room. they could maybe be screaming their lines from the other room or something.
TV, I don't know if you ever seen Black TV. He's not in the same room with these people that he's interviewing. It's a computer. He takes over. He's not in the same room with them.
Oh, so how does he ask them the question and he just puts the voice he just had?
Exactly. Just like you never see him on the screen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So there's definitely a way. But what about writing? Because you're a writer too. Right now is a good time to be like ideas. What are you thinking about that?
Yeah, I'm working. Like I said, I'm working on that one script that I did before this. I got a couple of ideas that I want to attack. I think I just have to flesh them out. Because I mostly do comedy, and I'm thinking I want to write something that's not so funny. I mean, there's always going to be humor in just anything I do, but I had an experience a couple of weeks back. I was out and I was at this. I don't want to talk about it, but basically, like I want to take something of that and make it maybe a longer story. Like it wasn't an experience. Like when I say I had experience, it wasn't like something happened to me. I witnessed something, and I thought to myself, I feel like there's a story that could be told about what's going on now. That's what I mean.
So okay, bringing it back to entrepreneurship, you have a like that. You have a script. What would you do next? Out there.
Right. So my process would be that at first I would get it down on paper for sure. Now there's certain times where I would write something and I'm thinking of people specifically that I want to collaborate with, like the short I did with my 2 girlfriends, McKenna Cox and Ariana Rodriguez, where they're it's a scene where they're in a kitchen and whatever. I wrote that specifically for them. So I already had that in mind, and I kind of knew the story in my head. So basically all I wanted to do was just find out if they were available and if they were, willing to work together, which they were, which is great. So then after that, I wrote the script, sent it to them. What do you guys think? I want your input, blah, blah. Then, got that down to a T. And then from there, it's, location, dates, who can I get to help? I need somebody operating camera because I was directing it. I want to be behind the camera also. So I needed David Rosario. You remember him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he actually worked. Yeah,
Yeah.
he does a lot of photography as well. So I kind of trust him with my camera and stuff like that. So he worked camera that day, and then I had audio and stuff like that. So that's that. And then also because I knew the story, I kind of already knew how I was going to edit it as well. And then this one, it's kind of the same.
Was this a short you were trying to get sold to be a bigger thing?
No, what's funny is that, so this is the thing, those two girls I mentioned, they're part of a comedy troupe. And it's like it's a mostly Latino based comedy troupe. They're based out of the Heights. They're called Room 28, and I've worked with a lot of them. Yeah, so I've worked with a lot of them.
Thrones thing with them, right? That went viral. You did a Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I shot that. I shot most of that. Yeah, actually. Yeah.
That was really good too. That was good.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. So so I've worked with a lot of them, but I haven't just worked one-on-one with those two girls. And I was like, we should do something, because also I think that the thing is also they were looking to expand their reel and get more footage. So I was like, well, then let's shoot something. I mean, that's the obvious. I mean, for me, that's the obvious route, So so that's where that came from. Is wanting to write something that was funny for them specifically, so they could have something for their reel. But at the same time, I wanted to make it a short, like a short that was. And then when I was done editing it, and I was like, oh, this is actually a decent short. So I started submitting it to like little short film festivals and stuff like that. But that wasn't necessarily the goal when I first thought of it.
Got it. But is that?
Yeah.
I do hear that that's the way to kind of get put on.
Yeah.
Those festivals, and it gets picked up, and then people start reaching out like, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Right? Even if you don't win, people are like, oh, I like that.
Absolutely. Because I mean, the winners of these festivals, it depends on the festival. Don't get me wrong. I'm not generalizing, but the winners of these festivals, usually it's going to be either someone who the story was told superbly, and even if the way it was shot wasn't great, or it was shot fantastic. Like it was shot like they had a budget and they were doing amazing things. CGI. There was a dragon, a dinosaur came out.
Feel like
Exactly. They somehow got Brad Pitt in there. That he wouldn't even, they took pieces from other movies.
See, that's my idea of.
There you go. Yeah.
Because you're already kind of doing that. Imagine making a movie that you are like stealing actors from other movies, and you make
Right.
that could be fucking hilarious. Actually,
I think I want to take my own reel and just have me be in one scene and figure out if the dialogue even works to like me to act with myself, like in the different things that I've done.
Good.
That even makes sense.
Stuff like that would make me think your demo reel would stick out. Like
That's true.
people would be like, "This is fucking good. It's hilarious."
They'd be like, "This guy's crazy. This guy's very self-indulgent."
It works in Hollywood. Let's be honest.
That's true. But yeah, so that was the process of that. But like the short that I was working on right before everything got shut down was it kind of same idea, but this one, my intention is to throw it out to festivals and stuff like that. But it's different. It's like it's me and this kid Andrew Casanova, who's also in Room 28. He would be playing my nephew, and then we'd be at a therapy session with this woman, Elena McGee, who's playing the therapist, and it's funny, it's ridiculous, kind of along the lines of like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like that kind of humor.
Wait, you're the doctor? Or you're the doctor?
No, that one is the one with the girls.
Oh,
that's Last Call. Yeah, this one I won't be the doctor. I'll let that woman.
that's the copper doctor.
That's all I play, guys. If you're looking to cast someone as a doctor or a cop, I'm your guy. I don't do any other professions on camera. I'm just not built that way.
And I'm always like, I get my little like you said, we both started at creative in art design, and every now and then I'm like, I'm too much on the technology side. I want to do more creative, and I want to do stuff funny. So now I always bother Danny like, let's work together. I never follow through. You're gonna see something from the both of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's like 10 minutes left. What how can people find you? Of course, I put your IG. Is that the best thing? I link your IMDb. Anything else? Website? Do you have a website?
Yeah, my website is actordannygarcia.com, and you can see my clips there. And I don't know if I have a link to, actually, another link you can check is behindthecamera.nyc. So that's where I post stuff that I've actually shot, because it's
NYC.
behindthecamera.nyc. Because another thing I was doing way before all this happened, was I was also shooting scenes for actors who needed
For the real.
scenes for their, yeah. So I was working with another colleague of mine, Neil Lerner. We were doing that, and it was going really well. But unfortunately, we had very limited locations. We were shooting mostly in his apartment, so we were getting a little tiresome of that. But yeah, I mean, that's something, if all you actors out there who need footage and need stuff, well, not right now, but when things get better.
With Skype now.
Yeah. Post pandemic, reach out to me. Right now, stay 6 feet away, and I hope you have a mask on.
CG the mask off you.
That's right. I'll take a picture of you, and then I'll move your mouth, and I'll do a close up of your mouth, and then just stay away from me. Or it'll be somebody else. It'll be my mouth. I'll put my mouth on everybody else.
That's actually funny. Imagine making people wear green masks and then
Yeah. That might be the new.
a beard, right? So
Why does she have a beard? It's a character choice. We decided that girl has a beard. That's why.
we gotta work on that. That's funny. So all right. So advice for anyone right now who is in a career kind of point where they're looking at possibly going into entertainment. What would you advise to do? I know you said, the student film thing, which is tough to do right now, the acting online.
Yeah.
What else? Anything else you could give any advice to somebody?
I mean, aside from that, I didn't finish saying, but basically that route is that you're building your reel, you're doing student films in order to get footage to start building a reel to show your talent. Basically, that's what a reel is for. So you're showing your talent, and then from there, what you want to do is you're going to then use that to pitch to agents or managers to work with you, because not that you can't, but it's easier to get auditions for bigger, better roles with an agent or manager. It's really hard to submit yourself for like a film with whoever, but if you have an agent or manager, that's kind of your go-to. And also,
you try to get one though, because at what point do you try to get a manager? Like, what do you have to be able to show before they'll take you on?
I don't think there's necessarily a point. I think when you feel comfortable enough in your reel and comfortable enough in what you're bringing to the table, and that was actually going to be my next point, is that just you look for someone who believes in you. It's not so much that like I need a manager, an agent. Yeah, anybody could really get a manager, or agent, but find someone who is really excited about you, who thinks, oh shit, you're talented. I'm looking forward to pitching you to, such and such for this role or that role or whatever, whatever comes their way. But, that's all also trial and error, because I've had multiple agents, throughout my career. And again, it's like the people I'm with now, they're really excited about me, and my manager also is,
But that's good. That's good. What would you say you should look for in an agent other than believing in you? What else? Because anybody can believe in you.
Yeah, sure. I think take a look at their roster. You can go on IMDb and search them, or I'm sure a lot of these agents and managers have websites, and just look at their roster, see who they represent, and see like what kind of careers they have, and yeah. But I would be weary of people. This is something that kind of goes on also in my industry, of people that have too many clients. Unless they're a big agency. If they're a big agency, obviously they're gonna have hundreds of clients.
An individual or a small group, how many people would you say is too many?
I mean, I think my agents have less than 100, and that's like good. But that's good, because
a lot.
Yeah, no, that seems like a lot, but it's actually, I'll tell you right now, because I don't want to say that and be be incorrect about that. But yeah, I would say even for a manager, I would say even less, because they have 103 clients, and but because they're agents, I understand why they have more clients, because agents are more, they're more submitting you to projects. A manager is more personal. A manager, it's a more of a personal relationship, you know, more time. Exactly. So with a manager, I would say not the less clients, the better, but like if a manager had 100 clients, I'd be like, whoa, how are you going to take the time for me if you already have 100 clients, you know? But with agents, again, you don't necessarily talk to them all the time. You don't have to have that close a relationship with them, because if you do, then they're kind of managers too, which is nothing wrong with that, but there needs to be a clear distinction, because things can get kind of muddy when it comes to like money and like percentage and stuff.
Also, someone else that kind of looks like you, would you say, like, if you have someone on the roster that kind of like,
yeah,
who would you?
No, that's something. Yeah, I'll look. I've gone to certain agents and look at their roster. I'm like, I've seen that guy at auditions. That's my competition. So why would I go try to sign with them? You know. But even if they have,
cop.
Exactly. That's happened. I see the same guys at multiple auditions. I remember I went in. This is funny. I remember going in for the Blacklist, and it was the wording in the dialogue made reference that the cop who I was going to audition for was either very short or very fat. But they could have done either. He could have been like really short or really fat, right? So I'm sitting in the audition room and I'm looking around and I'm like, okay, all these guys are shorter than me and all those guys are bigger than me. So I'm like, I'm two in the middle to be this guy. I'm not that short and I'm not that chubby. So I'm like, I'm not getting this role.
Like,
yeah.
It's pretty interesting. I've passed it. Casting is pretty funny. Like when you see the way people come in and it's like, this call was for somebody who doesn't look anything like.
Oh yeah, all this, that happens too.
Like,
yeah, I got a buddy who's all like, he's very tatted up, but you know, so he doesn't really go out for commercials and stuff like that. But he'll go out, like one time he got called in for a Mercedes commercial, and he's like, you know what I look like, right? Like I got tats, on my neck. You're not gonna put me in a Mercedes-Benz commercial.
We have to fill the quota. We have to look at 50 people.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I'll go, but like, I know I'm not getting this job. This is ridiculous.
So, all right, any final words for anyone right now that may be thinking about getting into anything, or maybe wants to work on something? Is that anything you're looking for? What about you? Are you looking for anything right now that maybe somebody watching, or maybe somebody I know can help you with?
I'm not sure how to answer that question, but I would say that if anybody who's thinking about getting into acting or anything in the entertainment business, or I think anything where you're taking a risk like I've taken or like you're taking, is that I hear this kind of a cliche, but it's true. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Like this is, if you're deciding you want to do this, then you have to also accept that there's going to be downs, there's going to be shitty times, and there's going to be great times, but you got to accept that. And more shitty than not. I mean, I spend more time auditioning or preparing for audition than actually get to act on set. You know? Like if I book a job and act on set, I'm like, let's say I'm there for 2 or 3 days at best, like if I'm lucky, but I've been preparing for that auditioning for like a week. So there's more time going into that than actually like being in front of a camera and doing my thing. And even,
go ahead, finish.
No, I was gonna say, even when you're on set, you're waiting a lot. Like I remember specifically that scene I did in Daredevil, where I picked up I forget the guy's name, the main guy, the Daredevil. There's a scene where I pick him up and I'm a cab driver. I pick him up and then I take him to this prison. Well, when we shot where I drop him off, the rest of that day, we shot that super early, like 11 a.m. or 10 a.m. And the rest of that day they were rehearsing. There's a huge fight scene that comes on after my scene, and it's all like done in one take. So it was obviously a lot of rehearsal. They were rehearsing the rest of the rest of the day, that fight scene, but I had no idea. So I'm sitting in my trailer for like 7 hours. I was done with my day. So there's a lot of that happening too, where no, because we also shot that in Staten Island. There's a prison in Staten Island where they shoot a lot of stuff. And So they, I guess, didn't want to necessarily send me back to the city, like just one dude in a car.
So,
Which at that point I was like, yo, I'll go on the ferry. I don't care. Like I don't want to be here. I'm done. I don't want to. But, you know,
what do I do?
exactly. They pay you for the day, so
Oh,
to
God.
them it's just like, well, we're paying you, so chill in your trailer and shut up.
But-
Exactly.
So it was awesome, man. Thank you. We see how fast the hour went.
That's true, man.
I want to work on something funny. I'm gonna
Absolutely.
you, and I'm gonna think of something, and I'm gonna do it one day.
And there's gonna be some follow through. There's gonna be some follow through.
I'm gonna do it like this. I'm starting to get better at follow through, as you said.
Miguel, I appreciate you asking me to do this. This is like super fun and like informative, and like I appreciate this, man. This was really cool. This is really cool.
It's gonna get 1 million views. I also told Danny, I need to do it now because before you get too big where you don't
Right.
no more.
Oh yeah, when that happens. I'm sure we'll talk 1,000 times before that happens.
Tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes you see it, man. Like, look, that AOC.
Yeah.
AOC was like, we were friends, like I'm friends with you, and now she's like,
Boom. She don't got time for you.
you never know, man. So
Totally.
thank you. Have a good day. Be safe.
Thank you, brother.
Second wave.
You too. Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. So, all right, Danny, thank you. And thank you for everybody who watched. Like it, share it, and see you tomorrow, 11 o'clock.
Thanks, man. All right.